This Britney Spears thing is disgusting. Now, I've said it before. This girl, I don't know why they put her under this conservatorship in the first place. They're all saying that normally it's people with Alzheimer's or developmental disabilities. I remember the news when Britney Spears freaked out and shaved her head. Okay, she freaked out and shaved her head. As I've said, since then, so many celebrities have shaved their head just because they felt like it. And nobody's saying they're crazy. Now, people freak out. People act like they may kill themselves. People do these things in life all the time. They don't end up stuck in a situation for over a decade because of that. They don't end up being monitored or imprisoned because they freaked out on themselves, or I don't know if she ever attempted suicide. I don't know what really happened. But the only thing I can think of is the reason that they decided to take away her own rights to take care of herself is because they thought she was going to harm herself. They thought she was going to kill herself. Otherwise, what reason would they have had where this woman clearly has the ability, like she could do her own shopping, right? She could pay her own bills, right? We're not saying, is she sad? Does she have, emotional issues? We're not talking about that. We're talking about somebody who can do day-to-day things. It seems to me these conservatorships are for people who can't handle day-to-day things. They literally cannot take care of themselves. Meaning, if you left them alone in an apartment, they'd never go to the bathroom. They would not be able to go to the bathroom by themselves. They would, light themselves on fire because they don't know how the stove works. You know what I mean? Or they would do themselves some other kind of harm because they just don't understand how to do things because they are impeded in some way mentally. This is somebody who had, let's say, a psychiatric issue in the moment because she freaked out. Let's say she had a nervous breakdown when all that happened. Has anybody ever been locked in imprisoned and not allowed to make any of their own decisions because they had a nervous breakdown once? I mean, people used to be institutionalized, okay? But in that case, and most people had a problem with most of those places after a while, if that was the case, why wasn't she institutionalized? Wasn't she put in a facility where she wouldn't be forced to work in Las Vegas? If somebody can go on stage and perform in front of people with the amount of stress and nerves that takes, and they can handle it without collapsing into a heap, why do they need somebody to be there? Look, she was a kid. When she became famous, she was underage. Therefore, her parents were in charge. They were in charge of the money. They were in charge of everything else. Once she became an adult, it was up to her, right? So to have a situation where all of a sudden these parents who used to be in charge of her money, used to be in charge of what she did, now become in charge of that again. Nobody questioned whether they just wanted to be, control this woman the way they did when she was a little girl, to use her to make money the way they did when she was a little girl, when she was 14 years old. I mean, the girl who shaved her head was a different girl than the one who sang, hit me baby one more time. This is a grown person who, if she doesn't know how to handle her finances, the person she was at the time, she would have had an accountant for that. She would have had managers for that. So apart from that whole background thing, which would have been going on, managers, accountants, people like that, who would be taking care of tax returns, paying bills, things like this. Why would she need someone to make all her decisions for her? They're saying she can't remove an IUD. How is that fucking possible? How is that fucking possible? Somebody decided. I mean, that sounds like something that they did to people who, back in the old days, in this country, back when we were fighting the Germans because they were horrible eugenics type people, in this country, they would take people who were, again, who had an IQ that was below the threshold for, I don't know how to say it without saying an offensive word. They would take developmentally disabled people. Is that what you're supposed to say? I know I'm going to say the wrong thing, but they would take people like that and sterilize them so that they wouldn't have children. Everything that they are talking about, everything with this Britney Spears thing, it's as if she is one of those people who is so bad off mentally that she could not. Do we remember the movie where Sean Penn, I Am Sam, and he had a baby and he wanted to raise his little baby? Do we remember this? And it was Dakota Fanning. He actually was in that situation. This girl, Britney Spears, this woman who was going to be 40 not too long from now, is not allowed to have a child. She has forced, it's just this point, she's going to be too old pretty soon. They took the ability, if she wanted to have more kids, they took that away from her because somebody put her under conservatorship that I don't know why she would have been. If she needed to be monitored, if she needed psychiatric help, if she needed all that stuff, fine. But the conservatorship, I don't understand why it happened in the first place. And now they're acting like it'll be difficult to get it off because it's there. Because it's there, you can't get rid of it. Even though clearly this is probably somebody who should have never been put under that in the first place. Like I said, she freaked out. She freaked out a couple times. People are put on involuntary psychiatric holds all the time. Okay? You could have two people in the situation. You could have a parent who thinks the kid is freaking out because they're saying bad words and call people and say they need to be put under psychiatric hold. You don't know what the circumstances were. None of us do. But like I'm saying, even if she was attempting suicide and they thought that at the time she needed to be, then you institutionalize the person. You don't put them on tour. You don't make them have a residency in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? The kind of people who need this, they cannot physically take care of themselves. They cannot go to the grocery store and buy food and come home and make it and eat it and clean the dishes. They can't do that. That's what this shit is for. That's not her. That's never been her. Where is that guy? Where is that guy who was crying, "Leave Britney alone"? Where is the "Leave Britney alone" guy? Because this was her only friend in the world. He was her only friend in the world. Everybody else was letting this happen to her. She didn't have anyone. No exes, no friends she hung out with, none of the girls she used to go out partying with, Nobody who made money off of her records. There was nobody there to say, stand up for her. That's what's wrong with this world. They force you to have people. The world forces you to have people. There's never been such a thing as individualism. They won't allow it. They force you to have people, and then if those people turn on you and those people say there's something wrong with you, the world will believe it. These lawyers she has. If her case was solved, they would stop making money. All the people around her, if she had the ability to pick and choose, everybody would get fired. They would stop making money off this girl. This girl was a cash cow for all these people. And they used her and nobody cared. There was no system to take care of her. The system put her there. I'm sitting here thinking about this girl wanting to have more kids now. If she wanted to have another kid, And that was happening to her. Mind you, she's only saying that now in court, meaning she couldn't say it all this time. She was so controlled. She couldn't speak for herself. Not on Instagram, not on anywhere. And nobody fucking cared. All the fans and everybody who've been backing her all this time. But no actual people in her life. People who could communicate with her, people who... There had to be people who saw what was going on and didn't say anything because, again, they were collecting a check. Security guards, you know, people at the casinos or wherever she performed at, you know, and people had to have seen what was going on all this time. You know, she always was cute and she smiled and she talked in a baby way. And people, just because you're nice, just because you're good, people think that means you're stupid. You know, if you choose not to be an evil person in this world, people think you're stupid. You know, I know that I've been through that, where people think that because I don't do the evil things they do, because I don't lie, cheat, and steal, that I'm stupid. They literally think acting like an adult means doing all kinds of horrible shit. So as long as you're not doing all kinds of horrible shit, you're walking around smiling, talking to people, being nice, maybe you have a babyish voice, maybe you have a babyish face, whatever, people treat you like you are that word I can't say that starts with R. What this world is, what I hate about this world is what has been done to Britney Spears. And you all did it. And I did it too. I should have cashed pennies. I should have bought a gun. I should have gone up there and busted up the place and rescued her my damn self. I knew it wasn't right. Nope. That's what this world will do to somebody like her. All she did was come on TV and sing. She sang songs. She went on tour. A lot of little girls looked up to her. And that's what this world did to her. And when I say this world, I'm not talking about the sphere-like object that floats out in the atmosphere. I'm talking about people. The people in this world are the world. People in this world make the machine. They keep the machine going. They keep the system going. It's horrible shit that damages everybody. Everybody plays a part in it. And everybody, again, you have to hate the players. Because without the players, you don't have a game. There's no such thing as hating the game and not the players. There's no players, there's no game. Without people willing to keep the system going, there is no system. This system that harms so many people, that tramples people underfoot, it only exists because we keep it going. Britney is the example. That poor kid. I mean, and they probably won't let her out still. They'll come with some proof that, oh, she doesn't know how to do accounting or something, so she won't be able to handle her books, so therefore she's got to stay. They'll come up with some fucking, just to prove that what they've done to her all this time wasn't wrong. They are going to now prove that the system was right. So instead of freeing her, they're going to double down on every stupid decision that went before, everything that got her into this situation, because they won't admit what they've done to this girl. Watch. They will not let her out. They will come up with some measly excuse to not let her out. That's what's going to happen.